If you're ever involved in an employment law case or claim and there's going to be either an award or a settlement, then there are some very, very important income tax considerations you should bear in mind. That's why you should watch this video. You could be in for a rude awakening if you get it wrong in terms of the income tax treatment of whatever payment you either receive or make, depending on whether you're an employer or an employee. There is an exemption from income tax for awards or settlements for certain breaches of employment's or employees' rights, for example, discrimination or harassment. However, there's no exemption from income tax in respect of awards for remuneration or in respect of a remuneration, for example, holiday pay or arrears of pay. So if the claim or the settlement is in respect of income, basically holiday pay or arrears of pay, then there's no exemption from income tax, and the normal tax and PRSI and so on should be paid. Payments that are exempt then from income tax in these situations would include payments made under a relevant act on foot of a decision or recommendation of a relevant authority, and subject to certain conditions, out of court settlements arising out of claims under a relevant act. That leads on to the question of what is a relevant act. Well, the Employment Equality Act, the Maternity Protection Act, the Parental Leave Act, Payment of Wages Act, Terms of Employment Information Act, Minimum Notice, and the other acts that you see there on the screen. These are all relevant acts, and so payments arising from any of these would indicate that the payment or settlement is for a breach of an employment right and therefore is exempt from income tax. A relevant authority then is either the Civil Court or the Workplace Relations Commission or the Labour Court. Payments that are not exempt would be payments in respect of remuneration or arrears of remuneration. This would include holiday pay, for example. Payments that are not exempt would also include payments for successful claim for unfair dismissal. And not exempt is compensation for a reduction in income or future reduction in income due to restructure, reorganisation, change in work methods, change in location and so on. So these are all compensations that would be paid in respect of income, basically the employee's income, and therefore they're not exempt from income tax. An out-of-court settlement then may be exempt if the settlement agreement is in writing and it is not between connected persons, and if the claim would have been a bona fide claim under a relevant act if it was made to a relevant authority. This covers a situation where there may be a claim, it doesn't actually get into the Workplace Relations Commission or the Labour Court or the Civil Courts and is settled. So it's an out-of-court settlement. It may be exempt if these conditions are met. It's also a condition or a criteria that the claim was likely to be successful if put in front of the relevant authority. In other words, it cannot be a claim that you just put in and it has no prospect of success and then it's settled and you get an exemption. It's also a requirement that the amount does not exceed the maximum amount that could have been awarded if it was decided upon by a relevant authority. So that's an important thing to check. What does the legislation provide for by way of the maximum award that could be awarded to the employee? This whole area is a pretty complex area. And as I say, you could be in for a very rude awakening if you're an employer or an employee and you're settling a case or making a settlement, because there could be a real kicker in tax to be paid to the Revenue Commissioners, either by employer or employee, afterwards if you don't be careful to begin with and get tax advice. I would recommend that you get advice from a member of the Institute of, I think it's the Institute of Taxation in Ireland or something of that nature. But basically you need good tax advice. As I say, it's a complex area. My name is Terry Gorry. I'm a solicitor in Enfield and County Meath. I do quite a bit of employment law along with other areas of law as well. If you find this video useful, you might just give it the thumbs up below the video, or share it with your friend, or maybe subscribe on YouTube. Thanks for watching.